Jack lived alone in a small wooden house at the edge of the forest. He liked quiet places, far from cities, noise, and people. Every morning he made black coffee and looked out the window. Every night he sat on his porch, watching the stars. In silence, he was a soldier once, but the war ended, came back with scars no one could see. People said he changed. Maybe he did. He stopped talking much. He stopped smiling. He just wanted peace. That night, a storm was coming. The sky turned dark. Clouds rolled like waves. Thunder cracked above the trees. Jack closed his book and stood up. He stepped outside, feeling the cold wind against his face. Then, something strange happened. A light shot through the sky. Not lightning. Not a plane. It was fast, bright blue, and fell into the forest like a shooting star. The ground shook a little. Birds flew out from the trees. Jack watched, his eyes narrowed. He waited to hear an explosion or fire. Nothing, just silence. Then the rain came. Heavy and cold, he went inside and locked the door. Maybe it was a satellite. Maybe his mind was playing tricks again. 2 hours passed, then a knock, 3 soft knocks. Jack froze. It was past midnight. Nobody came here. No neighbors. No visitors. Not in this storm. He stood still. Maybe it was the wind. Then came another knock. Slower, more careful. He grabbed the flashlight and opened the door. A girl stood there. She looked. About 10 years old, her skin was pale blue. Her eyes were big and glowing like small stars. Her hair was silver, stuck to her face from the rain. She was shaking, wet from head to toe, and barefoot. Jack didn't say anything, just stared. She looked up at him. Her lips moved. Her voice was soft, clear, and full of something deep. Not fear, not sadness, but something heavier. Please, human, make my mom smile again. Be her husband. Jack blinked. What? She stepped forward, hands together like she was praying. She's not happy. Not since he died? You can help. You have to. Jack didn't know what to say. He had seen strange things in war, but this was something else. The girl wasn't human, but she spoke perfect English. She wasn't scared of him, looked tired. As if she had traveled a long way just to say those words. He looked around. No one was with her. No car, no tracks. Just a glowing bracelet on her wrist, blinking red. You're cold, Jack said. Come inside. He led her to the couch and gave her a blanket. She sat quietly, hands on her knees. He made hot chocolate. She didn't touch it at first. Just looked at the steam rising from the cup. What's your name? Jack asked. She looked at him. Lyra, where are you from? She pointed upward. Far your mom sent you? Lyra shook her head. She doesn't know I came. Doesn't smile anymore. Not since my father died. Jack sat down across from her. He felt strange. This wasn't just an alien child. There was more. Something about her voice. It reminded him of letters he used to get from his sister after. Her husband died. The same kind of pain. Quiet, deep. How did your father die? He asked. Lyra looked down. He was human, like you. He came to help our people. He stayed. He loved her when he died. Something broke inside her. Doesn't cry, Lyra said. She doesn't speak much. She works. She leads. But she's not alive anymore. And you think I can fix that? Jack asked. She nodded. You are human, like him. She needs a reason to smile. I thought maybe you could be that reason. Jack felt the weight of her words. He didn't even know this girl. He didn't know her mother. And yet, something in him told him this was real. Too real. Lyra. I don't even know you, he said softly. But I know you, she said. I saw you in my dreams. I saw you in my father's stories. Jack looked at the clock. It was almost 3 in the morning. The rain had stopped. The storm was moving. Away. But inside his chest, a different kind of storm had started. He stood up and opened the front door again. Outside, the edge of the trees, something was glowing. A ship. Sleek. Silver. Almost silent. Lyra stood beside him. She's waiting." Jack didn't speak. He didn't know her. He didn't know her world. But he took one deep breath, stepped forward. Asterisk, the ship didn't make a sound. Its surface moved like liquid metal, shining under the pale morning sky. The forest around it stood still, as if nature itself was holding its breath. Jack had seen aircraft before, strange machines in battlefields, but this ship was different. It didn't belong here, didn't belong anywhere on Earth. Lyra walked. Ahead of him, her silver hair flowing behind her, glowing softly in the early light. Her feet made no sound on the wet grass. Jack followed, silent, his boots pressing deep into the mud. He didn't ask where they were going. He didn't ask why. He just walked. The ship opened without a door. The metal parted like water, and they stepped inside. Inside, the air felt warm and heavy, almost like a memory. The walls were smooth, pulsing with soft light. Jack looked around. There were no buttons, no screens, no chairs. Yet somehow, it all worked. Lyra turned to him. "You have questions?" Jack nodded once. "Who are you really?" She looked up at him with eyes that held both age and youth. "I am a child. But I was made for more. My mother is not just a mother. She leads part of our world. After my father died, her heart closed, but mine stayed open." Jack crossed his arms. "Why me?" Lyra tilted her head slightly. "Because you understand silence. You understand loss. You know how it feels to be alive, but empty." Jack didn't answer. That part of him still hurt. Lyra touched the wall. A light appeared. A map. Stars' systems, moving slowly like fireflies trapped in glass. "We are not far," she said. "But you must see before you believe." The ship moved without sound, rising through the trees. Clouds wrapped around them like fog. Jack looked out the window, but there was no Earth anymore. Only stars. In silence, he sat down on the floor. Lyra sat across from him, legs crossed, like a child in school. "Tell me about your father," Jack said. She smiled for the first time. A small smile, gentle, almost sad. He was kind, used to laugh at little things. He played music, or people don't play music. But he taught me. He said it was a kind of magic. What happened to him? He went to the edge of our system to stop a war. He took a risk. He saved thousands. But he never came back. Jack watched her eyes. No tears. Just memory. And your mother. She changed. She became a leader. She stopped feeling. She believes feelings are weakness now. She forgot how to smile. Jack leaned back and, "You think me being her husband will fix that?" Lyra shook her head. "I don't think. I hope." The ship slowed. Below them was a world with glowing rivers and cities shaped like spirals. The sky was violet, lit by 3 moons. Everything looked quiet, perfect and lifeless. Jack stared. "Is this your home?" "No," she said. "This is hers." The ship landed gently on a floating platform. A group of tall figures waited. They wore white robes. Their faces were calm. As Jack stepped out, one of them spoke. "Human, you are expected." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Expected?" She knew I was coming. The figure nodded once. She did not send the child.
HFY
Saw the signal, and she allowed your arrival. Jack looked down at Lyra. "She didn't stop us?" "No," Lyra said. "Because deep inside, she wants to feel again. She just doesn't remember how." They walked through glowing halls made of crystal and light. No footsteps echoed. Number 1 spoke. Jack felt like he had stepped into a dream where emotion had been erased. Finally, they reached a large chamber, and there she was, tall, beautiful, cold. She wore no crown, yet she looked like a queen. Her eyes were silver like her daughter's, but empty. Her voice was soft and sharp. "You are the human." Jack nodded. "And you are the reason your child came to my door in the rain." She glanced at Lyra, then back at him. "She believes. Love can return what time has taken." Jack stepped forward. She believes in you. The room stayed quiet, then the woman spoke again. I allow you to stay, but you will not fix what cannot be repaired. Jack met her eyes. Maybe, but I'll try. And for just 1 second, something flickered in her expression, something almost human. Jack stood in the heart of the city, but it didn't feel alive. Buildings floated in the air like glass sculptures. Roads curved like silver ribbons across the sky. Lights blinked softly in perfect rhythm. Everything was clean, controlled, cold. No. One laughed. No one ran. No one smiled. People walked in silence. Faces calm, eyes empty. Even the wind moved like it had been told where to go. Beside him, Lyra whispered, "This is her city." Built after the silence, a place with no war, no pain, no feeling. Jack looked around. Everyone here looks hollow. They gave up emotion to stop the fighting. Logic became law. Joy and sadness became dangerous. Jack glanced down at her. "And your mother leads all of this?" Lyra nodded. "She believes peace can only survive without hearts." Guards dressed in silver armor opened a wide door. Jack stepped through. He entered a room made of light and glass. It was warm, but not welcoming. At the far end, Lyra's mother stood with her back turned, staring at a screen filled with stars. Her posture was perfect, not a strand of hair out of place. She turned slowly. Jack expected cold eyes. What he saw was worse. Nothing. No anger. Kindness. Just silence. Her voice was low and clear. "You have arrived." Jack took a breath. "I didn't plan this. Your daughter, I know," she said. He waited for her to say more. She didn't. Lyra walked forward, quiet as a shadow. She stopped in front of her mother. "I brought him here because you used to smile. You used to sing when he was alive." The woman looked down at her daughter. Her face didn't move. "Child, you crossed galaxies to chase a ghost." Jack stepped forward. "She misses you, not the leader, not the perfect mind, the mother." The woman turned her eyes on him. "My role is not to comfort, it is to guide." "And what about yourself?" Jack asked. "Who guides you?" That question made the room colder. She walked closer. Her eyes searched Jack's face like a scanner. "You are damaged. Your mind carries loss. Pain. Why would I allow someone broken to stay in my world?" "Because broken people remember how to feel," Jack said. "And you've forgotten." She stood just inches from him now, tall, still, untouched by time or grief. "I do not forget. I choose not to feel." Jack didn't flinch. That's not strength. That's fear. For a moment, the light in the room dimmed. Her eyes narrowed. "Slightly, you think emotion will heal us? Your kind has used love as an excuse for war? And your kind has used silence to hide from the truth." She turned away from him. "I allowed you here because I sensed something unusual in you. But if you interfere with my order, I will remove you." Jack looked at Lyra. "She called me because she believes in something you don't anymore." Woman raised her hand. The wall behind them shifted, revealing a memory, a moving image. A tall human man stood beside her, years ago, smiling. He touched her hand. She looked at him with the same empty eyes. "He loved me," she said quietly, "and I watched him die." Lyra stepped forward. "You didn't cry?" "Not even once. I didn't have time to break." Jack walked beside her. "It's not too late." She looked at him again. This time, her voice shook just once. "You think I can feel again, simply because you are here?" Jack didn't smile. He just nodded once. "I think you've already started." She turned away. "You will stay in the observation hall. You are not allowed to speak in public. You are not a guest. You're a variable." Jack accepted. "Fine, just don't ignore what your own daughter sees in me." As they left the chamber, Jack looked back one last time. She stood alone, hand resting where the memory of her husband had just faded. Her fingers were shaking. She didn't even notice. Asterisk. Jack woke up to silence. No birds, no wind, no sounds of life, just the soft hum of energy moving through the walls. He sat on a smooth white bench inside the observation hall. The entire room was made of crystal and air. No corners, no shadows, no smell of dust or wood. Everything was clean, too clean. This world was beautiful. But it didn't breathe. A voice spoke behind him. "You didn't sleep well." It was Lyra. She held a small round object in her hand, like a glowing pearl. It floated above her palm, turning slowly. Jack rubbed his eyes. Too quiet. "It feels like the whole planet is holding its breath." Lyra nodded. "They do not speak unless required. They do not touch. They do not feel." He stood up and looked out the high window. Below, the city moved like a machine. People walked in. Perfect lines. Lights blinked in exact rhythm. No one stopped. No one looked up. "I thought peace would feel free," Jack said. "But this feels like a cage." Lyra pointed to a building in the distance. It was taller than the others. Black. Sharp. Different. That is the center. It watches everything. Even thoughts. Jack frowned. "They can read minds?" "Not fully," she said. "But they scan emotion. Someone feels too much, they get a visit." Jack stepped back from the window. "You brought me to a planet that arrests people for being human." Lyra looked down. "I brought you here because you still feel. And maybe that's what this place needs." Jack turned away. "What about your mother?" "She let me stay. But she watches me like a puzzle." "What is she waiting for?" "She wants to believe," Lyra whispered. "Belief is dangerous here." Later that day, a guide came. He didn't speak. He only raised his hand, and Jack followed. They walked through the city. Buildings rose like frozen waves. Trees glowed blue. Roads moved under their feet like soft belts. People passed without eye contact. No one smiled. No one whispered. Jack felt like he had walked into a dream where love never existed. The guide led him to a classroom. Inside, children sat in silence, eyes fixed forward. A tall figure pointed to a screen filled with numbers and symbols. No laughter, no stories, just facts. Jack watched a boy draw. A small flower on the edge of his tablet. The teacher saw it. The boy froze. The teacher erased it. Without a word and moved on, Jack leaned toward the guide. Why not let him draw? The guide spoke for the first time. Imagination leads to emotion. Emotion leads to chaos. Jack whispered to himself. Or maybe emotion leads to beauty. Kept walking. He saw a park where no one played. He saw a hall of memories where no one cried. He saw a garden where the flowers opened only under artificial light. Everything worked. Everything was quiet. But Jack felt something rising inside him. Anger, not loud, not wild, just quiet fire. That night, he sat alone in his room. The walls glowed faint blue. He touched the floor. It was warm like skin. This world was alive. It was not living. The door opened. Lyra entered. She held a small box. Inside was a music player. Old. From Earth. My father left this for my mother, she said. She never touched it again. But I want you to hear. Jack pressed play. A soft piano melody filled the room. Simple, gentle, full of feeling. Lyra closed her eyes. For the first time, Jack saw her breathe like a child. Then the door opened again. 2 guards stepped in. Their faces held no emotion. Human. One of them said, "You are not allowed to play sound without clearance." Jack stood up. It's music, not a weapon. The guard raised a hand. In this place, they are the same. Jack looked at Lyra. She didn't speak. The guards took the music player and left. No anger, no shouting, just silence. As the door closed, Jack said one thing. This world is afraid. A feeling because it knows what it's missing. Lyra looked at him with sad eyes, and they will do anything to keep it hidden. Jack watched the stars from the balcony. They were brighter here, sharper, like they were closer somehow. But the light didn't comfort him anymore. Not after what he found earlier that day. Jack had asked for a walk alone. The guards followed. From a distance, but didn't stop him. Maybe they thought he was harmless. Maybe they wanted him to see what he wasn't supposed to. In a lower district, he passed by a building shaped like a spiral shell. It looked abandoned. The windows were black, no light. No movement, but Jack heard something, whispers faint, mechanical. He stepped closer. A crack in the wall revealed a dark room filled with machines. Screens showed faces, names, charts filled with emotion readings, fear, anger, love, grief, and then his own face appeared, his name, his heart rate. His voice recordings, they were watching him all along. Then he saw Lyra. Her name was there, too. But something was wrong. Her birth date, her scan data, her classification, prototype, E13, memory design, human child, purpose, emotional trigger unit, Jack stepped back from the wall. A sudden chill ran down his spine. He walked away fast.
Outrunning?
Just moving quickly through the silent streets. The world still looked perfect, but now it felt like glass about to break. That night, Lyra came to his room again. She brought him fruit from her homeworld, bright green, soft-skinned, glowing slightly. Jack didn't touch it. He looked at her carefully. Lyra, he asked, what are you? She smiled gently. I'm your friend. Jack shook his head. I saw the file. She paused. What file? The one that called you a prototype. Eyes didn't blink. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she sat down, hands folded. I was created. Yes. But I was made from real memories. My father was real. My mother's grief is real. And what I feel, it's not fake. Jack looked at her like a stranger. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want you to see me as a tool. I wanted you to see me as a daughter, someone who still believes in love. Jack stood up, pacing the room. So they built you to bring emotion back to her. No, she said softly. They built me to control it. He froze. What does that mean? Lyra looked down. They feared that emotion would return too fast. So they created a shape, a voice, someone who could hold it and release. It slowly. Jack sat down. So you're not a child? I am a child, but not in the way you think. He stared at her for a long time. You used me. No, she said quickly. I chose you. They gave me names, faces, files, but I picked you. Why? Because you're still broken. Can broken hearts open doors? He stood, walked to the window, and leaned on the edge. Below. The city glowed like nothing was wrong, but everything was wrong. Your mother, he said, does she know what you are? Lyra shook her head. She was told I was born from her. Grief. She doesn't know I was designed from it. If she finds out, she'll shut me down. Jack turned slowly. You can be shut down? She nodded once. I'm not afraid to die. I'm afraid she'll never feel again. He sat beside her. Why did you really bring me here? She looked into his eyes. To finish what my father started, to break her silence, even if I break with it. Jack didn't speak. The room was quiet again. But now, the silence felt different. He wasn't alone with a child. He was sitting beside a machine built to feel like one. And yet, a small voice inside him whispered, maybe. The machine felt more than the people who built it. Asterisk, the piano started playing again. Jack didn't press play. No one did. And yet, the melody filled the air in the middle of the city square. Soft, slow. Familiar, it was the song Lyra gave him. Now it played through the speakers of the city. Every citizen stopped. No alarms. No orders, just music. People turned their heads. Their eyes moved. Some placed hands over their chests without knowing why. For the first time in years, they felt something. Confusion, curiosity. Warmth, and the lights above flickered red. An alert without. Sound pulsed through the sky. Emotion spike detected. Unauthorized transmission. Jack stood in the center of the square. The music had come from his room, but he didn't send it. He looked beside him. Lirushi stood quietly, watching the people listen. Her hands were shaking. Her voice was steady. They needed to hear it, even if it breaks everything. Suddenly soldiers appeared, fast silence surrounding them. Their leader spoke prototype. E13. You are under arrest for breach of control and emotional contamination. Jack stepped in front of her. She didn't do it alone. I was part of it. The soldier didn't blink. Human, your presence has triggered unfiltered emotional response in over 8,000 units. You are no longer a variable. You are a threat. Lyra held Jack's arm. Run, but Jack didn't move. This isn't war. This is awakening. The soldier raised his hand. You were warned. This society does not allow chaos disguised as feeling. Before they could act. Another voice echoed from above. I do. It was Lyra's mother. She floated down from a sky platform, silent and regal. But something in her eyes had changed. They were no longer empty. She walked past the soldiers, past the crowd, and stopped in front of her daughter. You broke the law. She said. Her voice was calm, but not cold. You used music without permission. You spread memory, made them feel. Lyra lowered her head. I had to try. The mother turned to Jack. And you made her believe it could work. You made me remember a face I buried long ago. Jack looked straight at her. Do you want to forget him? No, she said then. She raised her hand, not to punish, but to signal the soldiers' pause. The lights dimmed on. The people watched. I once believed peace could only exist in silence. She said, now I hear silence breaking. And I do not wish to stop it anymore. One soldier stepped forward. This is against protocol. If we allow this, the control system will collapse. There will be riots. Regression. Emotion always leads to war. The mother walked to the center of the crowd, then let it lead to something new, one by one. The people in the square began to hum the melody softly, shyly. Some cried, not from pain but from something else they had forgotten. Jack stood between mother and daughter, watching a world wake up, panned far above them. Central Tower turned red, not from warning, but from fear, because, for the first time in centuries, the people were choosing to feel, not by force but by will. The war wasn't with weapons. It was with memory, and Lyra had already won the first battle. The city was quiet again, but this time it wasn't the silence of control. It was the silence that comes after music, when hearts are still full and don't know what to say. Yet Jack sat beside a fountain that now flowed with real water, not synthetic. Miss children walked past him holding real flowers in their hands. Not holograms, not perfect, just real. He had seen the tower go dark 2 days ago. Systems went offline slowly, not with explosions, not with fire, but with acceptance, like the world had taken a deep breath and decided to let go. No one spoke of war, no one spoke of law. They were learning how to speak of love again. He had not seen Lyra since that moment in the square. She had been taken for review by the Emotional Ethics Council. They didn't know how to judge someone who was never meant to feel, but she didn't fight it. She had already done what she came for. She had already changed everything that morning. A voice came through the speaker in Jack's room. She's waiting for you one last time. He followed the path through the center garden. Leaves touched his shoulders like warm hands. The sky above had turned soft pink, as the sun itself had forgotten how to shine. Hard at the edge of the garden stood her mother, the woman who once led a world without feeling. Now stood alone in front of a single tree. It was small and growing slowly. Its roots held the soil like memory. Jack walked to her. She turned. No crown, no guards, no perfect posture, just a woman with tired eyes. He didn't speak, neither did she. Not yet. They looked at the tree together. She spoke first. It was his favorite tree on earth. Your kind called it an almond blossom. Jack nodded. I remember those. She held something in her hand, the music device, the one that had once caused Furno. It was playing against oft compiano, notes drifting through the garden like a breeze. She placed it on the ground beside the tree. Then she looked at Jack, truly looked at him. I do not know how to love yet. I do not know what it means to feel without losing control. But I remember his smile, and I want to remember mine. Jack stepped closer. Then don't remember. Just feel it once. Just for you. She closed her eyes. The music reached its last note, and her lips moved just a little, not wide, not bright, but enough to be called a smile. Lyra stepped out from behind the tree, her eyes wide, her face full of something more than pride, more Then Joy hoped she ran to her mother and held her waist tightly, and this time her mother held her back, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Jack turned away and looked at the sky. Stars were rising early, as if they wanted to watch too. Maybe they smiled as well somewhere, far away on, maybe the universe. Just for 1 second, was quiet again, but not from fear, from Pasreal. Pasita kind that begins not with power, but with a single momenta, single breath, a single smile,